guys, what is up? My name is Megan. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we are here to discuss what I read in August. I'm very excited to talk with you guys about all the books. I think I read 8 books this month. I'm currently in the middle of 3, which I will also discuss, and I have one that I'm carrying over from July because I didn't want to spoil my thoughts on it because I made a complete vlog about it, which I'll link in the cards and the description for you guys. This month I have a range from books that are from 2 stars to all-time favorites, which are 5 stars, and it was kind of all over the place. Also, I am filming this a few days early. It is August 28th, but school starts on Monday for me, and I don't know how much time I'll have to read or film videos, so we're doing this early, hence why I'm going to talk about the 3 books I'm currently reading, but I think I'll manage all of them before September 1st hits. So without further ado, we'll hop on in. I'll start with the books I'm currently reading, the one book I haven't given a rating to, and then we'll go from lowest to highest rated. So the first book I'm currently reading is The Ship of Shadows by Maria Kuzniar. This was a book on my CANDYLAND Picks My TBR, which, if you're not familiar, is my monthly TBR game. This is a middle grade and it counted as a TBR vet for a book with a map in it. I'm currently 83 pages in and I'm loving this book so much. This is a very intriguing middle grade because the way it's written feels like definitely you can be an audience of all age and really enjoy this book. What I enjoy the most is definitely the atmosphere in this book. If you are unfamiliar with the premise of The Ship of Shadows, it follows a main character who all her life has been told that females can't go on grand adventures and they're not made to sail on ships, and they're kind of, you know, the ideas of the typical female kind of like in the kitchen and serving people and not going out on their own, and our main character really does not believe that. She dreams of her own adventure. She reads a bunch of books about people sailing off and discovering the world, and one day it actually ends up happening to her. I'm not going to spoil exactly what happens, but all I can say is that there's an all-female pirate crew in this book. I love the feminism, I love the atmosphere, the writing style. This is definitely an impressive middle grade, and I also believe it is a debut and the first in a series, I think. So 83 pages in, currently loving it. Another book I'm currently reading is Nick and Charlie by Ashley Osman. This is a novella from the Solitary novel, which I have not read, but I'm familiar with all the characters, and especially Nick and Charlie, who are the protagonist in Heartstoppers, the comic series, well, / graphic novel series. This I'm not loving so much. I am currently 71 pages in, and it's honestly kind of bland, and I know this is a novella and it's kind of just bridging a gap. It's basically when Nick goes off to college and it's like the summer before, and so Charlie's afraid of being left behind and a lot of his insecurities kind of surface, and it's them spending their summer together. I just don't think a lot is happening, and I'm kind of not as attached to the characters that I thought I would be because I love the Heartstoppers graphic novels, but this just being in writing format maybe isn't doing it for me. I think I like the portrayal of Nick and Charlie more that I can like physically see and not just read. So it's fine, it's very easy to read, and there are some illustrations in here, which is my favorite part, but it's nothing like the graphic novels in my opinion. And the third book I'm reading, I'll put a picture up here because it's in my work bag and I'm not gonna go get it, but that is The Shadows by Alex North. I'm almost 100 pages into that one, and you guys, I am so happy with how much I am loving this book. A lot of people have raved about it. Gabby from Gabby Reads has enjoyed it. Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte. I am reading it for summer weed, which is not going as planned, but that's a talk for another time. But I'm really loving how the story is told and the fact that the narrative is in the past and in the present. In the past we follow our main character 25 years before, and we kind of follow the events that leads to someone getting murdered, and I believe the murderer was named Charlie and is a friend or acquaintance of our main character. And in the present, our main character actually goes back to this town for the first time since the murder happened, so we follow his perspective as he deals with his trauma and his past, as well as his mother being sick and slowly passing away. And we also follow a detective who is working on a case very similar to the one that happened 25 years ago, and Basically, the book starts off with another very similar murder to the one that happened in the past. I love the alternative chapters. I love everyone's point of views and the way the story is retold. Just everything about this is really fun, and it's actually very creepy. Like, the elements of the hands and the red hands in this book are really getting to me, and that's exactly what I wanted from the thriller. Now on to the books I have actually read. There's one that I haven't given a rating to because I feel like I don't know how to rate it, because objectively and enjoyment wise they weren't exactly the same. There is going to be a live show for this book, which I'll link all the information in the cards and down in the description. So I'm going to wait and see what the creators actually thought about it. Maybe it's going to help me make up my mind. But that book is actually Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. This was the August book pick for The Unfriendly Black Hotties. I always screw up how I say their name, but it's with Mayana Reeds and Zoe, and I think Mina might be in there as well. It's just a bunch of amazing black creators that discuss black authored books, and this one is one of them. This follows two perspectives. We have Alex and why am I blanking on the other one's name? Amira, and the story really takes off when Amira is asked by Alex, who is her boss. Basically, Amira babysits Alex's younger child, and something happens at home, and she asks Amira if she can take the child away to the grocery store while they resolve what has happened, and Amira actually gets put to the side by the security guard of this grocery store because he thinks that she actually kidnapped the little girl because Amira is black and the little girl is white, and it's all about performative activism and like actually showing up for Black Lives Matter versus thinking you're doing something but really doing it for you. It's a messed up kind of book. Like, you hate one of the protagonists in here. You're not sure about a lot of people's intentions in this book, and I guess it made me reflect a lot. Like, that's what I really enjoyed about this book, and I think that the content is very valuable and the story itself is one that needs to be told, and it was very informative and something I needed to read and reflect on, and I have, and that's why I wanted to join the live show in the first place, because I think that having even more people's perspective on this will definitely help me realize more and learn more, and I want to do that. But on the other hand, the way this was told and the enjoyment level was not 100% for me. Like, this was not an all-time favorite book, but at the same time, I'm just not used to literary fiction, so I don't really know how to deal with any of it. But overall, I think that the story was great. The writing style is amazing. It's just, I'm not used to the genre yet, so I can't really make up my mind on a rating. Now for the worst book I read this month, and it's definitely not a good one. It's already in my unhaul pile, and that is A Block Shot by Kennedy Ryan. I am so disappointed. This is an adult romance. It's part of a series called the Hoop series. I have not read the first or third book in that series, nor do I plan to as of now. I will still be reading more Kennedy Ryan. I have more on my shelf, and I don't think it's an author thing. I think it's the content of this book. The Hoop series really focuses on basketball players and their romances, but this one specifically follows a basketball agent who works to recruit different basketball players, and it follows two of them who went to college together, and then they're kind of competing with each other. Something happened one night when they were younger together, and now they hate each other, and it follows both the female and the male perspective. I hated both of them with a passion. I liked the diversity in this book, and I liked our female main character a little bit more at the beginning, but there are so many questionable actions in this book, and then the author still thinks you're going to be rooting for the characters. Both of them are idiots with very low standards and just questionable morals. They're not morally great characters, they're just wrong. This book actually has cheating in it. I'm not a fan of cheating, and especially when it's glorified, and for that reason gave the book 2 stars. Could not stand it, and I was just reading to finish the book because I was already so far in, but it's really hard for me to get attached to characters and root for romance when the romance is toxic in the first place. Our boy main character is like, I'm not gonna stop until I get her, and I don't care if she's engaged or dating or whatever. He says, like, at one point I wouldn't even care if she was married or something like that, and he's just forcing himself to break a relationship, and then our main female character is kind of justifying it in her head, and it's just like a whole relationship based on mistrust, and you're screwing up so many people's lives. Like, I'm obviously not gonna root for your romance, so a romance book where romance is problematic doesn't give me much to go off of, so for that reason, 2 stars. Then, to break it up, I read the middle grade monthly book of the month for the live show, and that is The Jumbies by Tracy Batiste, and I feel like I have a very unpopular opinion again on this one. I went on Goodreads once I finished reading this and was looking at the reviews. A lot of people gave it 4 or 5 stars. I'm giving it like 2.75, but on Goodreads I did bump it up to a 3-star. This follows Caribbean folklore, and it follows a main character who lives in this world, and where she lives is like an island, and in that forest, which is on the islands, lives Jumbies, or so people say. They are kind of like a legend that they will hurt you or kill you once you step in the forest, and that they're very evil. Our main character doesn't really believe in them, and her father didn't really either. And then at one point in the story she does realize that Jumbies are actually a thing. So we follow that main character's perspective as well as the perspective of the Jumbie and everything that unfolds from there. I liked some elements of this book, mainly the conversation on territory and respect of your ancestors. The relation between the people of the land and the Jumbies is not good at all. The Jumbies were there a long time before people from the mainland came to the island, and there's a discussion there that you should respect the people who were there before you and not destroy their land, and this made me think a lot of Indigenous people, and it is especially a problem in Canada, and so the reflection of that and the fact that it's included in middle grade, I really enjoyed. What I did not like, the writing style for me was confusing. I didn't really like the first part. Once you get used to it, it's not so bad, but the writing style doesn't fit the story, in my opinion. Not very cohesive, and I just thought it wasn't super well done. Not that I'm a writer, so I don't have a lot of rights to critique, but it's all in my opinion. And I also think that the relationships weren't that realistic. For a big part of this book, I didn't understand if the main character was actually friends with the side characters or they were enemies. The way they treated each other was not really realistic, even for children. I don't remember treating any of my friends like that, or anyone treating anyone else like that, or making fun of each other that way. I just think it was a okay book, but kind of weird and a little too all over the place for its 200 pages. So yeah, that's what I have to say about this one. Now we're getting into the books I actually enjoyed. The first one being Rush by Candy Steiner. This is the first in a presently 5-book series. This is new adult college romances, and it is basically inspired by like a trashy TV show. This is told in episodes, not in chapters. There are 6 episodes in this first book, and it follows 7 different characters. We follow them through their college semester. Some of our main characters are actually rushing for the first time and beginning their college experience. Some of them are seniors, and they are all dealing with different secrets and finding themselves and relationships and navigating young adult life, and it's really interesting. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of explicit content obviously in here as well as use of drugs and alcohol, which the blurb definitely warns you about that. So if you're going in not expecting it, then I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, but that's pretty much what happens in this book. I will leave Jess's review of this book in the description because there are a few elements that are problematic in here that I feel like she explains. I think it's Jess that she explains very well in her Goodreads review. That's the reason I could not give this book 5 out of 5 stars. I eventually gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really loved the writing style. I mentioned in the reading vlog that I was a little bit confused at first because there are so many different perspectives, but once you actually get into it, it gets so easy to understand, and I think that you need to give an author props if they're able to distinguish 7 different characters that kind of resemble themselves because they have similar personality traits, but everyone is their own character, and I really like that. Some characters you like more than others, and that's definitely the case in my opinion, but some of them do kind of redeem themselves. Some of them get into really problematic crap, and it's just so bingeable, and it definitely does feel like a TV drama. I can kind of imagine it like actually being on Netflix or something, and it would definitely be something I would watch. So I would recommend this book, but keep in mind that there are still some problematic elements in here as well. Then my favorite of the 3 books I read in my video has to be The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is the first in the Off-Campus series, which has 4 books, and it again is a new adult college sports romance. This follows a bunch of different hockey players in the series. This first one follows Garrett as well as a main character named Hannah. It's a dual perspective narrative. I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really love this book. Even though this was actually written in 2015, I didn't feel like it was. I had so much fun. This follows, as I mentioned, Garrett and Hannah, and their lives kind of intertwine when they're both taking this ethics class that used to be super easy, but now like 3/3 of the class is failing, and Hannah's actually doing very well in it. Garrett's GPA is plummeting because of this class. And so when Garrett realizes that Hannah is actually doing excellent in this class, he asks for her to tutor him. She doesn't like him because of his reputation. He does have like a shitty reputation, but they end up striking a deal because Hannah really likes this boy from the football team that Garrett is often around, and so in order for the deal to work, Garrett is being tutored by Hannah, and he's also going to fake date-ish Hannah by bringing her to a party and pretending that they're together in order for this other boy to kind of see Hannah in a new light because Garrett is so popular. So obviously the other boy is going to be kind of jealous, and it all goes from there. Obviously you can guess kind of what happens. I really enjoyed the writing style. Both characters were awesome. There are some trigger warnings for sexual assault and domestic abuse in this, which again I will talk about more in my video, but I feel like I should mention that it's there, and it's very interesting because I feel like it was very well handled. I have had experiences in my past happen to me that I can relate, and I think that this book dealt with everything very properly, especially in the sexual abuse and the discourse it had between your main characters and everything that kind of came out of this dramatic part of our female character's life. I'm not gonna talk too much more about it because I have a vlog and I don't want to spoil it, but if I could recommend one of the 3, I would definitely say read The Deal. We are now on to the 3 5-star books of the month. The first one being The Rest of the Story by Sarah Dessen. I didn't think this was going to be a 5-star read, but I ended up falling in love with this book. And I did read it and also listen to it via audiobook, and I do recommend the audiobook. I think it was very well done, and it really does put you in the atmosphere. This is a young adult contemporary by Sarah Dessen, which I feel like everybody knows Sarah Dessen, and it's probably my favorite that I've read of hers so far. This follows a main character named Emma Saylor who lives with her father, and her father is actually getting married again. Emma really likes her home life, but she also misses her mother. Her mother has actually passed away, and she had a very rocky lifestyle where she went in and out of rehab, and she had addiction problems. Emma hasn't really seen her mother's side of the family since she was 4, but when events occur that I'm not going to spoil, she actually is going back to this lake town where her mother was born to live with her grandmother, and she basically rediscovers her mother's side of the family as well as her past, and kind of creates a new identity for herself. It's a lot of kind of like a coming of age story and her realizing who she actually wants to be. She reconnects with a lot of families and old friends, and it's just such a beautiful story because it does mention grief and also how you need to acknowledge your past in order to go forward. And I feel like I am someone who really cares for my family, but there's also parts of my family who I don't talk to anymore, and this kind of reminded me of what I have gone through, so I think it was really realistic. I loved the lake setting in here as well. It was so charming and atmospheric, and just I loved the comparison because this lake is kind of like, it reminds me of Cheaper by the Dozen, where one side of the lake is for like average people, and then there's the other side of the lake where there's very rich people and affluential people, and it's kind of the contrast of the kids from both sides of the lake as well, and there's discussions of that and different lifestyle. And Emma's dad used to be on the rich side of the lake, and Emma's mother obviously lived where Emma is now, and they're not that rich, and they sometimes struggle to make ends meet, and they run this motel, and it's hard because everybody needs to be involved. And I just liked all the discussions in here. All the side characters were fun to read about. I loved the main love interest in this and the relationship and how healthy it was with our main character. And overall, if you guys are looking for a fun end of summer YA book, or even if it's not summer, I recommend picking this up. We're down to the final two, and I'm not even sure which order I want to put these in because both of them are definitely going on my favorites of the year list. Both of them I adore and love with all my heart and would recommend highly. It's just, I'm going to put them in the order I did because one of them surprised me more than the other one. So in spot number 2 for now is Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston. This is surprisingly another YA contemporary, and it's weird because I feel like I've been reading a lot of adult romance, but a few contemporaries have sneaked up on me and I really enjoy them. This is the third book in the Once Upon a Con series, and I think it might be the last one, which makes me want to bawl my eyes out. I really hope there's more in this series. And this series is all about a show called Starfield, which is kind of like Star Trek and Star Wars combined. It used to be, I think, a TV show, but it didn't last long, and it was books before that, and it's now turned into a movie franchise. And all of our female main characters throughout the series are fans of the series for one reason or the other, and they eventually get love stories with either someone related to the Starfield production or Starfield actors. This one is obviously a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. We also have a Princess and the Pauper one and a Cinderella one. This series is most commonly known for Geekerella, which is the first book. This is my favorite by far in the series. The fact that it was a Beauty and the Beast retelling warmed my heart. I really liked the direction it went in and how it explored this. Basically, our main character, for reasons I'm not going to spoil, ends up working in this library alongside one of the actors in Starfield, and a connection forms. There's a dog in here that's adorable. There are a lot of representation in here. We have non-binary main characters, bisexual main characters. I believe one character is gay. There's just a lot going on, but it also feels very fluid and realistic. I love the Beauty and the Beast retelling in here, and just the connection between the two main characters, and how the male main character was kind of a grump, and I really love that. And it's just overall, I have no words, but this is the book I had a vlog for, so I'll leave it in the cards because I feel like you can definitely see my reactions and more coherent thoughts during that vlog. But also, what I love about these books, look at the hardcovers. They're all super nice and have the logo for Starfield on there, and it makes my heart happy. And the last book, and probably most surprising book I've read in a couple of years, Reborn Yesterday by Tessa Bailey. I have a full review for this, which if I have enough cards, I'll link in the cards and the description. This is my precious. I love it so much, and I want you guys to read it. So, the story behind this. This is an adult paranormal romance featuring vampires. I don't read paranormal romance. I don't read paranormal anything, and I did not care for this book at all. I saw a few people like Bookables talk about it, and I was like, yeah, I don't think it's my jam. But then one night, I couldn't sleep, and I had actually purchased it for like $1 on my Kindle because I was very curious to see if I would like it, or it was going to be a good indication if I liked paranormal romance, because my tastes have been changing. So picture me in my bed at midnight, not able to sleep, so I'm on my phone reading, and I'm like, you know, I should maybe try this book. I went to bed 2.5 hours later having read 40% of the book, and I could not get enough. I woke up the next day and finished it, and I was beside myself because this was so good. Obviously, I did get myself a physical copy, and now I own this one and its companion novel called This Time Tomorrow. The third book should be out in the winter, is what Tessa Bailey said on her Twitter or Instagram. I love it, you guys. This follows a main character named Jenny, who actually has a funeral home. It used to be her father's, but he has passed away, and so she has taken on the legacy. And it's kind of problematic in the sense that a lot of people call her like Death Girl, and nobody likes her because, you know, she works with the dead. She also shares the responsibility with her stepmother, and her stepmother has the day shifts and our main character Jenny has the night shifts. And one night at the beginning of this book, she goes into work and she sees this beautiful man actually lying on the table ready to be embalmed, and she finds it very unfortunate because he's a very attractive man. Turns out he wasn't dead. His vampire friends pulled a prank on him while he was sleeping. Because they sleep so little, when they do sleep, they sleep like the dead, quite literally, and everything kind of goes from there. There are complicated elements in this book because vampires and the humans aren't supposed to interact, and if they do, the vampires usually have to erase your memory, but for some reason Jonas, our main love interest, cannot seem to do that to our main character, and they slowly fall in love. I thought he was going to be like a vampire killer, you know, those traditional vampires that I hate, and that's why I don't like vampire romances. Nuh-uh. Turns out he plays a very important role in his vampire community, I guess I'll call it that, and he's kind of going against the rules to be with Ginny, and it's kind of like their love story, but him dealing with that. There are also some bad energies around Jenny, causing her to almost die a couple of times, and Jonas protecting her, and it's just such a beautiful story. There are a lot of steamy scenes in here, just FYI if you're not comfortable with that, but I have a physical copy. I will be rereading it, annotating it, loving it, and this is one of the books I never feel like I could ever get rid of because it opened an entire new genre for me and way of thinking, an appreciation for vampires and paranormal romances. The love story in here is absolutely stunning, and just, if you guys want to read it, highly recommend, basically is what I'm saying. So those are all the books I had to talk about. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you very soon with other videos. Goodbye guys, happy reading!